This is Saving America with your host, Dr. David D. Schein, author, professor, attorney, and all-around useful person, presenting the intersection of business and politics. Enjoy common sense commentary and interviews with some of the world's most interesting people. Now here's your host, Dr. David D. Schein.
Thanks, John, for getting our show launched today. We're kicking off this edition of Saving America with my Week in Review commentary. As FIFA fever grips much of the country, including right here in Houston, Texas, what else is going on? Iran, a deal or not? Communism is stupid and dangerous. Obama library is a major flop. Terrorist plot on the White House lawn. Let's take a closer look at these and other hot stories for week 26 of 2026, followed by my interesting guest this week with Peter Basica, who will talk about the very important subject of reducing the cost of healthcare, and Chad Peace, who will talk about reforming the election process in California. Before we dive deeper, a quick shout out to all of you, both my longtime listeners and the new folks who've just joined me. Your support keeps this whole thing moving. If what you hear strikes a chord with you, post a like, leave a comment, and hit subscribe on whatever platform you're on. And if something crosses your radar that the slopstream media is ignoring, as they tend to do, you can always send it my way at drdavessavesamerica.com. I read everything that you send in, so send me something. Iran, a deal or not? Like many conservatives, I prefer we stay out of other countries' business as much as possible. However, it was definitely time to take down the regime in Iran. The problem here is Trump pulled up on the hammer just when he was going to close the deal. I still do not understand the 60-day ceasefire that appears to have morphed into whatever this MOU deal is supposed to be. Trump made a critical error in admitting in public that with the Strait of Hormuz shutdown, oil was not flowing and the world economy was suffering. So he told the terrorist wackos that shutting down the strait is just what they need to do again in the future. That was not helpful. There's also a critical lesson that's not been demonstrated here. The only way to fight is to fight for complete victory. America demonstrated this to end World War II. Look how much better the world was afterward. That lesson was not illustrated in the Korean War, where we have both nuclear-armed North Korea and our most powerful enemy, the CCP. We lost Vietnam. We sort of won Desert Storm, but failed to take out Saddam Hussein. So we were back there about 10 years later. Trump does understand the lesson of the Middle East. No more endless wars. But that does not mean giving up midstream. It means totally devastating the military capacity of the enemy and then turning the country over to competent civilian leadership. This has not happened in Iran. In fact, these terrorists still have some missiles, and Trump even admitted that he was not aiming to take all the missiles away. I thought we had that as an American objective here. This lovely regime just sentenced a 35-year-old singer to 74 lashes since she did a video of a song with a bare shoulder and no hijab. Every member of this dangerous outfit still holding Iran hostage should be getting that treatment, not this innocent woman. Current reports are the strait is open or the strait is closed. So it kind of depends on who you're talking to. The Iran regime claims it will require registration, but has only agreed not to charge tolls for 60 days. No tolls ever. That alone is a reason to obliterate the Iranian side of the strait. This deal has made the Israeli side of the situation even worse. I thought they were in this battle side by side with the U.S. Now, the deal was made with Iran without Israel, and they have been told to shut up and live with it. In the meantime, The Iranian-backed Hezbollah continue to shoot missiles and drones into the occupied areas of Israel from Lebanon. Why we Americans allow that to continue? How can you have peace treaties with missiles still flying in the area? My only hope is that the Iranians will screw up so badly, so quickly, that Trump does what most thinking members of the world community want: bomb the military assets of Iran until they have nothing left and enter into a permanent peace deal with a new regime in the country. My understanding is that the internal numbers support this in Iran. 90 million people with 1 million in the radical IRGC. The people are ready for freedom. Time to arm them and destroy enough of the IRGC that the people can move forward. Anything less means this mess will drag on until the regime gets nuclear weapons. Think about it. What keeps them from trading for oil for nukes with North Korea? Just a thought. And what about the midterm elections? Well, the GOP should be able to win due to the ludicrous far-left whack jobs the Dems are running. Given how quickly gas prices have dropped, I think Trump could have gone in, finished the destruction of the military assets and the IRGC, and gas prices would still be okay by early November. As it is now, if Iran jams the strait in the next 60 days, gas will skyrocket close to the midterm elections. Poor planning, and Trump will look like he blinked. About the only hope here is, as I suggested a minute ago, is that Iran goes crazy and fast. Then Trump sees his opportunity to take out the rest of the military, and quickly. Communism is stupid and dangerous. I am a child of the Cold War. Communism has been dangerous and stupid since the beginning. In my earlier life, I could never imagine what is happening here in the good old USA right now. First, you have U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders, who's simply a joke. He runs around pretending to be a commie to get votes. In his personal life, he's full-on capitalist. Next, you have the disgraceful Mamdani clown in New York City. He's already backed off on most of the foolish promises he made during his campaign. The folks who voted for him are the underachievers and failures who now constitute the majority in New York City. The wealthy who have not yet fled are doing so now. Many hardworking middle class will increasingly find the city so unbearable, so unaffordable, that they will be forced to leave just to have a decent standard of living. Oddly, Dallas, Texas is now becoming the new financial capital of the U.S., leaving New York City in the dust. Then you have Abdul al-Sayed, another Dem promising the communist dream. The only problem is, who's going to pay for it? He is running for Senate in Michigan. His big plan is Medicare for all. I would hope Americans with IQs over 100 realize that this is just Obamacare 2.0. Right, the failed program that doubled insurance costs and caused many Americans to lose their choice of doctors. I have family in Belize. They have socialized medicine there. So the family uses the second-rate system for routine well child care. However, they buy a separate health policy so they can go to medical clinics in Belize and Mexico that are set up specifically for private patients and are markedly better. They go there when they need serious medical care. Ask people in Canada how they like socialized medicine. 6 months waits to have surgery. Sound like fun? Sound like good medicine? And like Mamdani, promising to put money in your pocket. Well, do New Yorkers have more money in their pockets? Yeah, sure. Typical Dems, promise the poor and middle class everything and deliver nothing. Then there's the Seattle commie mayor, Katie Wilson. She calls herself, like Mamdani, a democratic socialist. Don't be fooled. A commie by any other name is still a commie. She has promised to address the affordability crisis with housing reforms, city-run grocery stores, universal child care, and increased taxes on the city high-earning corporations. Hey, does this remind you of the false promises of the other commies? And Seattle continues to have sky-high cost of living, including gas at California levels. In the meantime, parallel to New York City and California, businesses are running, not walking away. This means the well-paid jobs and the tax base are going down, not up. The latest on this clown is that she was going to boycott Starbucks, which is based in Seattle. She recently admitted in an interview that she had some type of a fancy drink at her local Starbucks. Truth there, huh? Then we have the ultimate failed city in the ultimate failed state, Los Angeles, California. Current Dem Mayor Karen Bass is simply a fool, but at least not claiming to be a commie. After some very weird vote counting, her opponent, Nitya Raman, is indeed, another commie. Her big issue is fighting homelessness. Gee, that's original. Similar to New York, she wants to set them up in public housing at, guess what? Taxpayer expense. More giveaways, more freebies, not fewer. Not all commies are running for mayor in the failed so-called blue cities. Back in New York City, Mamdani is backing fellow commie Deraziza Avila Chevalier for a congressional seat. This whack job supports the terrorists in Gaza. Then she wants to change the rules for public housing. As if it's not already dangerous enough in most public housing projects, she wants to remove the ban on convicted criminals getting access to public housing. How's that for a pro-people platform? Communism has never worked. The USSR, the largest full-blown experiment in communism, failed. It started with the Russian Revolution in 1917. Many were murdered if they did not agree with the revolutionaries. The economic plans failed over and over again. After losing the arms race and the space race to the U.S., they threw in the towel in 1990. That should have been the end of this failed concept. Instead, you have the stupid and brainwashed being bamboozled by those who want power. They want to get power by any means possible. Hey, is capitalism perfect? By no means, but it beats by miles the alternative system. Obama Library, a major flop. A few months ago, I noted in my Week in Review that former President Biden had failed to raise any enthusiasm, read that, donations for a presidential library. About the same time, there was pushback on the plans for the location and design of the Trump-proposed presidential library in Miami. The concern is not unique to either political party. I proposed then that it was time to discontinue presidential libraries. Each administration would simply turn over its records to the National Archives. Hey, that's their job. Select records could be displayed at the nearby Smithsonian. There might even be more support for my proposal with the grand opening of the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago's Jackson Park. So we have the DEI president with the DEI project. Reports are that contractors were selected from African-American firms with a target of at least half the work on the project. I note, however, that the lead architect appears to be white. As it opened, a scandal erupted when a number of these minority contractors came forward to say they have not been paid. There are reported to be massive overruns on the project costs. The total was originally projected to be an amazing $850 million, but now estimates are that it exceeds $1 billion. Note that Obama is not personally liable. The nonprofit Obama Foundation is responsible for the library. Its director is reportedly paid an incredible $740,000 a year. By the way, a political hack from the Obama administration. Neighbors in the area have complained about the destruction of a popular park and the design of the building. I appreciate the criticism of the building's design. In Texas, we would just call it butt ugly. Some, but not all, the presidential libraries are administered by the National Archives. This one will not be. An interesting twist is that as all the records are digital, it does not qualify for federal administration. Further dulling the impact of the recent opening were some very political comments by Obama and others during the opening celebration. I get a laugh out of that. This is supposed to not be a partisan operation. Of particular note, as the Dems continue to oppose the SAVE Act, which requires ID to vote, are the ticket discounts for Illinois residents. The regular ticket for 12 and above is $30, and then 3 to 11, $23. However, if you can provide ID to show you are an Illinois resident, you can get a discount for each ticket. It states on the website, and I'm going to read this directly, must be able to provide proof of residency. Be prepared to show proof of residency at the museum with a valid photo ID, Illinois driver's license, state ID, or city-issued ID. Guardians must be able to provide proof of residency for accompanying children. End of quote. Folks, I can't make this up. So the Dems want ID for a little discount, but no ID to vote in something as important as participating in our democracy. Ponder that for a while. Terrorist plot on the White House lawn. For a change, the good guys win one. An odd batch of miscreants around the U.S. were actually planning a sniper and drone attack on the UFC event, which was held on the White House lawn recently. For the record, I oppose boxing in any of its forms. The purpose is to give the other fighter a concussion. I do not regard that as a sport. Still, I'm very happy the thousands of people participated were not hurt. The FBI under Director Kash Patel has begun to look like a legitimate first-class crime-fighting operation, and I credit him with that. Something that has not been true for the last couple decades. In this case, the parents of one of the conspirators realized their son was up to no good and turned him in quietly. The FBI began to monitor the communications among these plotters in something that sounds like it came right out of a movie. The crew planned to run attack drones into the entrance to the White House event. As the crowd members fled, they would have snipers kill as many as possible. And then they would run a separate team against the main gate of the White House in an apparent suicide ending. The latest is that the alleged leader of this crazy plot is an illegal alien from Mexico. That somehow seems appropriate as the Dems continue to push keeping illegals in this country, no matter how dangerous they are. I'm glad no one got hurt and hope each member of this crew serves long prison sentences, of course, if they're convicted. Horrendous report from UK on crime victims. I've been aware of the serious problem in the UK for a while. This new report is stunning in the depth of the problem and the sheer number of victims. The official report is 219 pages and released in mid-June. Due to restrictions on social media, I am not going to even be able to say the name of the report because the R word is in the title. The report was led by Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe and survivor advocate Sammy Woodhouse. In short, the report alleges systematic grooming, the R word, trafficking and abuse of at least, are you ready, 250,000 mostly young white British girls. The perpetrators are alleged to be mostly Muslim Pakistani gangs throughout the UK. The details in the report are too graphic for this family show. It can easily be found online. As I have suggested in recent episodes, this appears to be a class issue. The young victims are not from wealthy families. If they were, the issue might already have been corrected. Second, it points to a society in extreme decline. Reports like this come from 40% of the country. Many of the assailants are not even being jailed, despite the severity of these crimes. Reports that I have been streaming out of UK for the last several years are that if someone is a recent immigrant, they seem to have a free pass to commit crimes. This is an extreme form of reverse racism. Third, the report contains information that the police, those who we in society depend on to protect us, ignored reports, destroyed evidence, released the offenders, and treated these young victims as prostitutes. Drugs were involved as these girls were treated like slaves. No wonder the numbers are so large, with society and the police not just looking the other way, but sanctioning the abuse. Those currently in control, the Labour Party in the UK, may have tolerated such extreme conduct simply to get votes. Fortunately, the tide is turning in the UK. Sounds like the Dems in the US, huh? I hope the UK will come all the way back to being a first world society. And in a relatively late development, Keir Starmer, the current Prime Minister of England, has indicated that he may resign soon. We'll see how that goes, but I think this report may have helped push him along. I bring this report to my listeners' attention since we face some of the same issues here in America. If we do not consistently enforce our laws and do a thorough review of who we let in, we face the same terrible crime wave in the United States. For American society is only a short distance from members of our society praising the brazen murder of a health insurance executive on the streets of New York. Or, more recently, others have protested the conviction of Carmelo Anthony since he is black, despite the fact that he was convicted of a violent, inexcusable crime. Being soft on crime is the starting point. Recently, the Gilgo Beach serial killer pled guilty to the murders of 8 women. He got 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. But he did not get the death penalty. In my opinion, this is an unthinkable miscarriage of justice. The murderer will get to live out his life at taxpayer expense while multiple families grieve the loss of their loved ones. How is that justice? Opposing data centers in the U.S.? How about the CCP? Look, our society should be concerned about these new data centers. They're needed to support AI and other high-tech computer users. The flip side is that while they can help our society move forward, they also are hogs for both power and water. Other neighbors are concerned about noise, on top of the first 2. America does need a national policy on the location and development of data centers. What we cannot do, if we do not want to end up the way behind the rest of the developed world, is to let anti-American forces prevent their development entirely. I read with interest a special Newsmax report by reporter Paul Bond on the subject of China funding organized resistance to data center development in the U.S. Now, let's think about this. China knows that the U.S. is ahead on AI development path. Data center development is critical to that path. So it is funding whack activist operations in the U.S. with the undisguised purpose to stop data center development. This would give the bungling CCP the opportunity to better compete with the U.S. As it is crucial that the U.S. win the AI race, this is not something that should be treated lightly. First, we need to get the word out about who is supporting the Luddites with this anti-data center agenda. Of course, it's not just the CCP. There are other anti-American operations who have a hand in this. The article mentioned billions being spent to block American data center development. A recent anti-data center panel was convened by no less than the top fake commie Bernie Sanders. And who did he have on his panel? 2 speakers from China. Of course, they claimed that the AI race was not that critical and the U.S. could slow down. Fortunately, nobody is listening to that nonsense in the AI development companies. Sanders and that moron AOC earlier this year even introduced the Artificial Intelligence Data Center Moratorium Act. It would have blocked all construction of data centers. Now, it was dead on arrival, but still indicates that the enemy within, not just the CCP, is around. While resistance tends to be on the Dem side, I note that my only favorite Dem, John Fetterman, has openly opposed the moratorium push as a lunacy, and he's on the right track. And in our special interest report this week, from a really can't make this up file, police reported arresting a woman driving more than 100 miles per hour. She was on a state highway in Pinal County, Arizona. Wait until you hear her excuse. No, she was not drunk. No, there was no medical emergency. She was not late picking the kids up from school. She told police she was rushing home to watch a reality TV show called Love Island. She was arrested, of course, for reckless driving. I thought it was appropriate the car she was driving was impounded for 20 days. She could now have a criminal record that might include jail time in addition to fines. When a car is impounded, there are towing fees, daily storage fees, and possible damage to the vehicle. This is just not worth it. As a hardcore safety advocate, I encourage all of my listeners to slow it down and show courtesy to other drivers. With the car-dependent busy Houston roads, we hear about fatalities and serious injuries on the roads almost every day. This has got to stop. By the way, Dr. Dave does not watch any so-called reality shows. As a self-professed news junkie, I get all the reality I can stand. And that's my week in review report for week 26 of 2026. If you enjoyed the show so far, please like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube at Dr. Dave Saves America.